All right, so we're going to do number 1 and number 4, and then whatever else we need to do. So number 1, solve the differential equation given that the point 3, -5 is a solution to the curve. So 3, -5, we know that that's going to be used to find C at the very end. Separable differential equations, backing up for a minute. Our motto for this unit is separate, then integrate. Separate, then integrate. So let's put all the x stuff on one side and all the y stuff on one side. So y dy equals x squared dx. Algebra step. And worth the point, so a third or a fourth of the problem is right there. Next we'll integrate both sides. So Tyler, what's the antiderivative of y dy? Handle the left side for me. Yeah, you do. Remember, this is y to the first, if that helps.
So it's y over 2. Y squared over 2.
Y squared over 2. Good. Increase the power by 1, divide by the new power. Good. Lauren, how about the other side? What's the antiderivative of x squared? X. Good. I like the plus c on there. X cubed over 3 plus c. Next, I'm going to solve for y, and then I'll plug in to find c. So I'm going to multiply through by 2. So 2/3 x cubed. Hey, what's 2 times c? C, right? This is kind of the weird, fuzzy math. If c can be anything, then multiplying by 2 doesn't really change it. So we'll just still say c. If you want to say 2c, that's fine too, but it's probably better to just call it c. All right, square root both sides. Oops. Why oops? What am I saying oops about? What's going on here? Yeah, the plus or minus. I've got to figure out which one it is. Can you tell already which one it is? Which one is it? Why negative?
Because the y.
Yeah, if my answer is going to be negative, then this has got to be the negative one. So y equals, well actually let's just go ahead and plug it in. -5 equals negative square root 2/3 3 cubed plus c. Let's see. So we could square both sides. 3 cubed is 27. 2/3 of 27 is 18. So c is 7. And I don't really have it written out completely for an answer yet, so because this is kind of a mishmash, let's write our final answer here. Negative square root 2/3 x cubed plus 7. And if you really wanted to check it, you could go back and plug in 3 and make sure you got -5. I guess if you really wanted to check it, you could take a derivative of that thing and see if it equaled x squared over y, but no one's going to do that. That would take forever. Separate, then integrate. Then solve for y. And then c. So it's like separate, that's algebra. Integrate's calculus. Solve for y, solve for c. Algebra. Number 4. Write the equation of the function satisfying that thing. Y of e equals 9. Okay, let's see. I would divide both sides by square root of y. I'm going to have to change that into a power at some point to take an antiderivative. And I'll move the dx to the other side. So there's my separate step. Again, showing that step is worth a third or a fourth of the points, so make sure you show it. Antiderivative, but I don't really want to antiderivative this yet. I'd rather write that as y to the -1/2. because now I can take an antiderivative of that thing. Speaking of that, Alan, what's the antiderivative of y to the negative 1/2?
2.
Yes, very nice. 2 y to the 1/2. Increase the power by 1, divide by half, which is puts a 2 out there. All right, on the other side, I think I'll just stick the 4 out front. And then that's not something I recognize, but it's something I kind of recognize. What could u be so that du shows up? Because if u is natural log of x, what's du? 1 over x dx. So again, move the 4 out front just to get it out of the way. So I've got u du. Rabia, what's the antiderivative of u du?
U squared over 2.
Good. And then plus c. So let's see here. I've got 2 square root of y equals 2u squared plus c. Let's divide by 2. Oh, I need to put the u stuff back in there. So natural log of x squared plus c. Again, c divided by 2 is still c. That's that weird thing. And then square both sides. So careful with parentheses here. Natural log of x squared plus c squared. And if I plug in e, I'm supposed to get 9. So let's see, 9 equals natural log of e squared plus c squared equals 9. Some of you are going to be able to figure this out quicker than others, I guess, but what's the natural log of e? 1. So can you just tell by looking what c needs to be, so that if I square it, I get 9? Kind of shortcutting some algebra steps here, but what does c need to be so that if I add 1 and square it, I get 9? 2. I think for this one, I have it right here. So I think I can just kind of combine those and say, there's my answer if I tell you what c is. It's okay to do that. I didn't do it on the last one because I never had like a clean answer for y with c in there. This one I do, so once I solve for c, I can just kind of connect the dots and say, here's my answer, and there's what c is. What else? Here, number 9. What else you got? Number 7 has an extra step in it. Should we do number 7? Then we'll move on to the second set. Number 7. dy dt equals negative 3y. If y equals 1 when t equals 0, what is the value of t for which y equals 1/3? So basically they're tacking on an extra algebra step at the end. So I have to separate and integrate, solve for c, and then plug in y equals 1/3. So it's an extra algebra step at the very end of this thing. So dy over y equals negative 3 dt. I think I said this yesterday, but that negative 3 can go on either side. You could put it in that denominator, or you can put it in the numerator on this side. But usually we want the y stuff to be as clean as possible, since eventually we have to solve for y. Okay, now we can integrate. So this is our calculus step. So, Grenier, what's the antiderivative of dy over y? Saw that rule just a minute ago. Sometimes it's written as 1 over y dy. So what has a derivative of 1 over y? Or 1 over x? Good job. Thank you, Tyler. Natural log of y. Officially, we're supposed to put absolute values on there. Usually it doesn't really matter, but we'll put it on there anyway. Brandon, how about the antiderivative of negative 3 dt? What was that? Not negative 3, negative 3t plus c.
Why wouldn't you just put the y to the negative 1/2? Like you bring it up?
Well, there's not a 1/2 is like a square root.
Oh,
Let's see. So we want to do an e to the thing on this. So e to the negative 3t plus c equals y, which you might remember you can bring the c down front. It's a different c, but so let's use 0, 1. So y is 1. Whoops. T is 0. So 1 equals e to the 0 is 1, so c is 1. So that was nice. So there's my equation. That's normally where we stop. But the question is, what is the value of t for which y is 1/3? So more algebra. So we plug in 1/3, and then natural log both sides. So natural log of 1/3 equals negative 3t natural log of e. Natural log of e is 1. So t is negative 1/3 natural log of 1/3. And that's not one of my answer choices. So what can I do to make it one of my answer choices? This is a property of logs that we like to use. That negative can go up front as an exponent. A negative exponent flips it over. So 1/3 natural log e. And there it is, answer choice D. Algebra, calculus, algebra, 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 algebra.